Hello and welcome to the O Podcast, also known as the Only Women Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Rosemary Cescolini, your host, a former high school English teacher turned successful entrepreneur. Through crafting a career in the field of manufacturing at Royal Door Limited, a family-owned and operated business. There, I worked tirelessly designing and building custom wood doors for thousands of people, including celebrities and professional athletes alike. Our products are featured in HGTV real estate and home renovation shows, on Netflix series such as The Green Door and the covers of numerous construction and renovation magazines. Now, I have a new initiative. I run O. It's an organization that's built from the ground up to empower young women as they explore the business world and alternative careers. Here, you'll learn about incredibly successful women and discover the invaluable insights and wisdom they have to offer. Our guest today is Manuela Marcheggiani, the owner and founder of Isomers.ca Laboratories. Isomers is located in Toronto, Canada, and has produced award-winning skincare solutions and has been repeatedly featured on television channels such as Shop HQ and 123 TV. With a career spanning over 3 decades, Manuela has dedicated herself to revolutionizing the skincare industry. Her commitment to innovation, scientific integrity, customer education has not only transformed countless complexions, but has also empowered individuals to make informed choices about their skincare routines. Manuela was introduced to me by a mutual acquaintance of ours, Flora Di Mena, of Flora Di Mena Designs, Inc., who will be coming on the show in a future episode. So, without further ado, let's dive into the enriching conversation with the visionary behind Isomers.ca Laboratories. Manuela, welcome to the O Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Rosemary. It's really quite an honor to be here. Quite an introduction, too.
Well, it's well-deserved, you know, the respect. 3 decades is a long time, and you're a wealth of information and experience, and I can't wait to dig into all that little secrets that you have to share with our community.
Okay.
So let's get started with your personal and entrepreneurial journey. Can you tell us a little bit about your educational background and early career, please?
Yeah, so absolutely. So I studied at University of Toronto, and so I studied research and analytics. And this was really important because it was the arts and science program. I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I knew it had to be something in research and analytics because it's very important to learn how to think, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that was very instrumental. Like I've always tried, I guess I've always been a natural problem solver. I just didn't really know which direction I was going to go in. So I left my options open. And that's where in karate at University of Toronto, I met Darius. And Darius was doing chemistry, biochemistry. I was doing analytics. I had this issue with my skin. And we started, trying to come up with a solution for me. So I think our mutual education really, we fed off each other, which was really good. So there was an opportunity, a curiosity, and we went into that. So I think this background really helped with being part of the skincare business industry, and also because all of these disciplines that he had, really helped with problem solving, formulating, research, analytics, trying to solve. After university, because I realized what I wanted to do. First, I went into TV shopping because it was just to get a job. You know, there was this this interim period in the summertime. I was just going to take the summer off and just do this at TV shopping. And I learned about this direct-to-consumer vehicle. So we helped found it, and that was part of the analysis.
Right.
And then I decided that this is such a great type of business, like a speaker's corner. So I went back to high school, believe it or not, and studied aesthetics so that I could learn hands-on. So I was in the background. I always had this this hobby of creating skincare to fix my skin. Other people were noticing. So we kind of it became a perfect storm. You know, the education with the experience, with the willingness to go back and learn from the beginning again. Like, I know I'm good at this, but I don't really understand how it's used in on the street or in the industry. So let me go back and learn that. And so I think that having that humility willing to start from the beginning all over again, even after university, really helped set us up for success.
That sounds amazing. A couple of takeaways from there is critical and analytical skills. And that is so important today. And unfortunately, I just don't find that being taught in the schools at the moment. And part of entrepreneurship is problem solving. And obviously, you had a problem with your skin, and whatever was available in the market at the time obviously wasn't helping you out. So you set out to not only re-educate yourself, but find and experiment and test ways to achieve a solution for your skin problems. That's amazing. That's incredible to hear.
Well, yeah, it's what they say, necessity is the mother of invention.
Absolutely.
So it was a necessity to fix this skin and to fix my skin because it was impacting me, my self-esteem. I was really affected by it. I was trying because my skin was out of control. The only thing I could control was like my food. So like I would really have, I had an eating disorder out of this. So there was a lot of struggles, and it was like I had to resolve the skin issue. And when I resolved that skin issue and other people noticed, and I remember how I felt, right? And other people noticed, and they were coming forward saying, I have this issue, that is like who are you seeing? What are you doing? And I told them. They were like, can you help me? And, and slowly it was not one person. It was like 20 people, 30 people. Can you help me? Can you help me? It's like, oh my goodness, there's a need for this. And people don't have the information. So it's not just me. It's the way things were set up. So we set out to educate. So we learned, okay, what are the secrets? What is the missing link? What is, there's so many gatekeepers in this industry. So we wanted to be this source of education information, so we would empower people so they could make better choices and hopefully solve their problems. And along the way, if we could be beneficial and create the tools, we would do it.
Wow. And that's a fascinating story because as a woman, and if you have skin problems, that really wreaks havoc on your self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And you're not able to do things because the first thing people look at your face. And if you have blemishes and discoloration, you quickly feel conscious of it, and people are staring at you. So that is just, like I said, very impressive, and that's really, really good to hear. For men, it's not as bad because you can always grow a beard, facial growth, but for a woman, it's really hard to cover it up. Yes, you can use some makeup, like foundation and other cosmetics, but you know what? To actually have a nice, clear face with no blemishes. That's amazing. It's a confidence builder, and I'm glad that you actually invented this. It's fantastic to hear, and I'm glad we're sharing it today.
Well, I spent a lot of my time, also with cover up, because I also had my skin was not just blemishes. I also had almost an autoimmune disorder. They thought I had lupus, and so it got to the point that I couldn't have ice cream, anything cold, anything warm. I would literally blow up, and I would have welts all over me. So I used to spend most of my time trying to hide. And as a young adult, that's very difficult. And to go from, thinking I need to be invisible,
right?
I should be hiding because everything is out of control. And then actually taking that as the seed to grow my career. So we took the worst part. I took the worst part of my life pretty much and turned it into the actual seed of saying this may be my purpose, because we found I had a knack for the formulation, for the research, for understanding skin ages and stages. And then I understood not just the mechanics of the skincare, but mechanics of manufacturing and distribution. And then they say one of the things that is really important in business too is to look for signs, right? And so when I tripped over TV shopping and I know nothing about retail, that became my distribution. So I went into something very new. Nobody was doing TV shopping. At the beginning too, people were saying, why don't you, distribute your product properly, or do it like real people, real businesses do. Yes. And now I'm like, I was like at 20 years ahead of my time, because now come full circle with social media, online, we were there. We were at the beginning stages of it. So not being afraid, like knowing that, especially when you're young or you're starting a business, not being afraid to try something different and to go with what you know,
Exactly.
and work it, work it and make it work for you and see how far you can take it. And you'll be an innovator, because you just, if you stick to your talent. Some people say follow your passion. I'm like, follow what you're good at. Passion will come from
Yes.
being successful at what you're good at.
Correct. So let's just rewind a bit before
Yeah.
we talk about Shop HQ and 123 TV. So one of the core tenets of O is community. And how did the support of your loved one, especially your family, contribute to the growth of Isomers Skincare Laboratories?
My family was very supportive. My family was very supportive in that we were able to, my father, coming from Italy, my old school kind of philosophy, but my father was like, if you go get a job now and, try to buy a house and do, start your life, the
Right.
job will only, you've got a bill after bill. But if you start a business, if you actually follow this, you will then be able to do what you want to do in life, because the business will buy you the house, will buy you the vacations, will buy you that education for your children. So my parents were very much about, let us help you. And this is how we're going to help you. They couldn't help us financially, couldn't help Darish and I financially, but they said, you stay with us. So we weren't, I technically lived at home and worked the business. So I didn't have to worry about that part. And so we could take everything that we were making and just put it back into our business. So they were very supportive. They came and they helped us, on the lines. They worked tirelessly with us, to help with the manufacturing, anything that they could do. So they were very, very supportive. They never once said, this is silly, this is a waste of time. They always thought this was really great. And the time to do it was now. That's what they kept saying. You want to do this? Do it. Just make sure that you're right there and you're doing it. So the family was very important and always has been important. And I think it's been very humbling, because we built this as a family business and we've been able to help our family and therefore also our community, a larger family at the same time.
Yeah, that's incredible, having a strong foundation from family members. I can relate to that, absolutely. Just personally speaking, I'm not the founder of our company, Royal Door Limited, but my father-in-law, again, he was a master artisan from Italy. He brought his craftsmanship here, and he found a need too for heavy doors because of our extreme weather conditions. And he started off, gave us a great foundation, and then my husband and I built it to where it is today, and we have succession, thankfully, with our children going into it. So I concur with that 100%. Now, let's go back to, I want to explore a little bit how you came into, you mentioned about going on Shop HQ and 123 TV. If you can explain the remarkable journey and partnership with those types of media coverage.
Yeah, the way I became involved with direct-to-consumer TV shopping, when I left university, that was literally my first job. So while I was going back to high school, I had a part-time job. I always had a part-time job. I've always been that kind of person that I needed to have a part-time job or be busy, I needed my own independence. So I had a part-time job with TV shopping, and this was a type of business that was just starting out. So it was a startup.
Okay.
Very new. People didn't understand. It was actually still motion as well because of CRTC regulations, but it was the concept of literally what we're doing now. We're talking, we're experts in our field, and we're using TV or podcast in this situation, but to reach a wider audience and to give them a little bit of information, share concepts with them. And with TV shopping, I loved it as soon as I walked in. It was almost like, this is my Vegas. Like, this was so interesting to watch when people speak. Because you watch when people speak, and we have all these monitors, and we can literally see what they're buying and at what rate, how many people are engaged. So you can see dollars per minute, margin dollars per minute, how many units you're selling. So there's a lot of activity that's happening. So the power of the word is instant. It's like, in the older times, or before this was done, if you were in marketing and you created an ad or a campaign, you wouldn't know how successful your campaign was for 6 months or 9 months or a year. It would have to go through a cycle, right?
Okay.
You'd have to distribute it. You have to go through a cycle. If it's print, if it's TV, you would have to pick your times and see what those results are monthly or quarterly. Or with TV shopping, it's at the minute. It's right then. It's right there. It's happening in the moment. So you know exactly if what you're saying resonates or it doesn't, because people vote by calling
Yes.
in. And and so I loved it. So when we started,
instant feedback, you're saying then, right?
you get instant feedback.
That's
You get instant
so cool.
feedback. And if you also get instant vetoed, right? You can tell if you're being canceled or if you're being accepted immediately because of how they're responding.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. It also keeps you very focused, but it also keeps it very real, because then you start to learn what information is important. What information can people actually digest? What goes over their head? What do they miss? So you end up having you develop a skill for getting to the important parts, getting to the benefits, being able to explain things very clearly, making sure people walk away that they've understood your product, not misunderstood your product. So I loved all those aspects. I also loved the fact that it was a platform for geeks, like someone like me, a science background, or a geek who wouldn't otherwise be in a presenting stage, to be able to be the authentic voice of your innovation.
Sure.
And this was a huge, I saw it as a huge opportunity for the business, because the alternative was you get a sales force, you get a sales team, you've got to meet a bunch of people, you've got to hire people and train them, and you've got to go door to door, store to store, maybe all Shoppers Drug Marts or spas, or a different kind of distribution, which would have been very labor intensive and very, very almost official. This, on the other hand, the TV shopping was, one person, one camera, and and then you took your product into their warehouse and they did all the picking and packing for you. So it was like, as a scientist, I could focus on my formula and I could focus on the ingredients and the benefits. I didn't have to worry about all the other parts of it. And it just became a really good distribution, but it also was a really good way to connect with community, really connect with the end user, with her who's using the product and who's struggling, and being able to build trust. And that's also important. And then also show up every month or every few weeks. And then now we had continuity. You can trust us. We try a different product, and we were able to bring people forward. So they were no longer as nervous about their skin either, or the product either, because there's also this relationship that you can't really build in any other kind of distribution.
Right. Wow. That is really eye-opening. Now, I'm curious to know, I know your product is international. Where in the world can I actually see you directly on TV? What parts of the world?
In the US. We were in Asia. We're in the United States. We were in Australia, Europe. There was Italy, Germany, Russia. So those are the places that we are at the moment.
Presently. And plans for expansion? Where are you probably focusing to explore possibilities?
We're actually wanting to develop more of Asia, and the Middle East as well. And I think we would like to go back to, I like, the easiest distribution is English speaking countries.
Yes.
So that just makes it easier because it's obvious, right?
Yes,
so there's Australia, the UK. They're also big in social media type of content. But we've really become much more international with social media and with the content that we're doing, because we are doing a lot more educational videos, so outside of TV shopping. So we find that we are literally global now. Even just out of Toronto, we have such a huge reach with our products.
Yeah. So two takes I want to just explore further. One comment that you mentioned earlier is the fact that your job was just to focus on product design, and then you're on direct TV, and you used a form of outsourcing, because a lot of people as entrepreneurs, when they first begin, you're basically the owner operator. You do
Hmm.
everything, right? And I'm imagining that was for you the same role at the beginning. Then, as you developed products and you started to expand, you needed to hire or outsource different activities in the business for you to focus on what you do best.
That well, actually, we do it all in house. So we do have staff,
Yes.
absolutely, but we do all the manufacturing and the packaging and the innovation. We have the room I'm in right now is,
Mm-hmm.
we call it a skin testing room. So we bought all the lab equipment to be able to do clinicals, before and afters. We have everything is here. So we don't like to outsource in that
Okay.
sense. We like to control the entire process.
Right.
We streamline the process. This was part and parcel because of the fact that when you're we I guess it was the best way to use our resources wisely and
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that there was no waste, because also being from a science background, we're very environmental. So we do just in time manufacturing. We don't make endless SKUs of product. We make things to order, and we have standardized packaging with labels. And we did this so that we could maximize our inventory,
Mm-hmm.
streamline our process, have it done in house, control all those components. So there is not a large amount of inventory that
Okay.
ends up tying up resources,
Right.
or is out of trend, or expires. So controlling all of that. Outsourcing for us, the only thing we've ever outsourced
Mm-hmm.
would technically be that we don't do the pick and pack or the shipping
Right.
for each individual customer. That
Mm-hmm.
goes to a main resource. They do that, but everything else about the product is under our control.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. So, going on to entrepreneurial challenges and growth, business is always shifting, especially in your industry. It's
Mhm.
incredibly changing. So, what is it like to be a business owner now? And because you're constantly innovating, so how do you stay on top of all that?
Well, we stay on top of that because I think it's part of how we stay on top is we're in touch with our customers, so our fans, so we get to see where the world is going, in the sense of health
Right.
and beauty has become very important. uh, More of an aging population,
Mhm.
people become much more concerned with their health, and
Right.
skincare is part of health, right? So it's all about the nutrition. We also are very much tied to a lot of research houses. So as innovations come out, as new ingredients come out, we vet them, we see how they fit in people's stages and ages. So I mean, we don't follow trends, we kind of follow the science and
Mm-hmm.
marry it up with people's lifestyle. So as people are becoming much more aware
Right.
of good ingredients or delivery systems, we keep the innovation that way. We've always backed everything based on science and not on the marketing part, in the sense of telling a story. Our story is the science is the story. And then how we age and what happens to us during the
Mm-hmm.
aging process, educating on that allows us to be pretty much always on trend, because
Right.
I'm also aging too, and I guess it all becomes more relevant as you start going through, a change or this or that. As you watch your body and your skin change, you start to resonate and tell people this is what's happening at this
Mm-hmm.
age and this stage, and it allows us to communicate in the way of the trend, or how people want to be spoken to, or what they want to learn at this stage. But the basic formulations evolve as the science evolves.
Right. And because it's such a unique approach, I understand why it would be very appealing to your customers. That's an
Mm-hmm.
amazing way to go about it, for sure. And that way you always stay on top of things. Incredible. O is dedicated to equipping aspiring entrepreneurs with the tools to succeed and overcome any challenges they face. What have been some of the most significant challenges you faced as an entrepreneur in the male-dominated skincare industry, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think what's interesting is it is very male dominated. And I think that especially in the early days, doctors are usually men. A scientist is usually a man. And so, and it's almost like women don't really believe women. They will believe a man over a woman. I find that, my mother will, maybe it's old school, but my mother will say things like, oh, an uomo, he's a guy, he knows what he's talking about. And what does she know, right? It's
Yes.
almost like, okay, now let's roll up our sleeves. This means that, yes, there are more men in the STEM. There are more male doctors and scientists, absolutely, which means there's a lot very intelligent. There's a bigger pool. We're going to have a higher aptitude because there's just more of them. So
Correct.
as a woman, as a female in that environment, you've got to know your stuff. Maybe you're not the smartest in the room,
Right.
but if you are smart and you focus, and this is what I did. I was smart, I focused, I didn't back down. When I didn't know something, I learned it. I became nimble. I was very open like a sponge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found that I earned so much respect because I was able to take things that were very complicated, maybe very boring or technical, or would go over most people's heads. And I had the ability of taking that science that they couldn't do and turn it into explaining how a peptide works by talking about spaghetti or talking about going to the carnival. And I would paint pictures about the science and the ingredients of the technology. And I would explain to people, this is the mechanism, this is a science and how it works. And the other men in the room would be like, I want to learn to communicate like you because they know what you're saying.
Right.
And so I found that I found a way to be able to not work the system, but I found a way to be able to work within the system that was still respectful. It was harder. I had to work twice as hard. I had to think differently. But if you're there for yourself, I think that people start respecting the hard work and the ethics.
Right. The key takeaways here is you're gaining knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also experience that gives you credibility in these male dominated industries, because you're not just a pretty face, you actually are a credible source of information yourself.
Exactly. And speak in your words. Don't try to imitate them. Be you.
Correct.
Do it. Like when I speak to women, because 90% of Isomers skincare users or customers are women. When I speak to women, I speak to them with respect. I speak to them like we're peers, that I expect them almost in a way to know what I know, because I try to level, I want to level everybody up, right?
Right.
And I think that that's very important too. I never talk down to anybody because I want them to know what I know, and I want them to be as strong as me. And I think that in a male dominated or any kind of industry, that brings you so much strength and momentum that I just think it helps set your own way, and it is your own voice and it is your own style. And I think that's very important in any industry or anything you want to be successful in. Trying to be somebody else, it won't resonate, and it won't give you, I think, the longevity in your business or the satisfaction in your career.
Yeah, that's so true. Just be yourself, and that's the best way to approach it. I agree. Now, did you have a specific whim or triumph in your business that was particularly memorable and impactful?
We've had so many. Honestly, we've done. We've won awards for doing things so outside the box or breaking records. Like what we did was we invented a thing called an age zero DNA. So basically, after my son was born, I was very, hormonal. I don't know, emotional, and
We all are after that.
Yeah, I'm at the Toronto Zoo, and I'm pushing the stroller, walking with him, and I see other children, and you just see different things in life, and you're thinking, I guess because you're emotional, you start to think about. I don't know if it's when you give birth, you think about death. You think about, oh my goodness, I have to be responsible for you for your whole life. I don't want anything ever bad to happen to you or me because, you're going to need me and I'm going to need you. So somehow my brain went to this. So I started thinking about, when are things perfect? And I thought, well, things are perfect in conception. And when that happens in science, it's called, like when you have a sprout, it's sprouting. That has the highest nutritional profile. So I put this kind of concept together and created age 0 DNA. So just as these seeds were sprouting, we isolated the extract and used it for hormonal aging. That became such a huge thing in the industry. The story was well told. It was very, very timely. And from that, the special moments where not only were we recognized in the industry, but when we went on TV shopping, we literally did $1 million in an hour.
Wow, that's so cool.
We blew the phone lines. They actually had to shut down our very first presentation because we had exhausted the bandwidth, so it crashed the lines. And so it took them a few hours to come back up on air. And still to this day, this is one of our strongest formulations, but other companies have also gotten on board and tried to do the same kind of technology. So it's very, very satisfying and memorable. And I remember going on air on our second, so we had launched it sold out. And then when I went on the second time, I remember going on air, and before the camera even came up, people were anticipating us going live, and we could feel it in the studio. And there was we started all getting hot and excited because we knew people were just they were there and they were just so ready they were just as excited as we were to have this formula. So I think to me, it's memorable that we can touch people that way, motivate people that way, and build their self-esteem and confidence, because so many customers will say, now that I use your product, and I love the stories, I'm 70 and I get carded, or they think that my son is my boyfriend, and you can hear it in their voice how happy they are.
That's sheer brilliance. Congratulations on all those achievements. That is, just blowing my mind. Very, very incredible. I'm so happy that you shared that story with our audience. So as a successful female entrepreneur, what are some of the key lessons you've learned about building and sustaining a business in the skincare industry?
What have I learned? I've learned that it's very important to have strong pillars. It's very important to have a strong family. It's very important to have strong pillars. It's very important to tell the truth and be honest in business, because it just makes things work better. You have less to remember because if you're only telling the truth, you can just focus on.
You have one story to stick to, right?
You have one story to stick to. You should be an expert in know your stuff and grow and be ready to learn more. It's okay not to know something, but learn it. And when you don't know, say you don't know and ask for help.
Right.
I found that. And also I find that it's important to hire or surround yourself with the right people that support you. You are not an island. You always are a community, and you're as strong as your community. It's true. People who think that they're an island, it doesn't work, because you always need somebody.
Right. We're all interrelated, and you need to be able to have cooperative relationships with anybody that comes your way. For sure. That was well said. So as someone who has been in the industry for decades, what advice would you offer to aspiring women entrepreneurs attempting to enter the skincare industry?
Make sure, I would say, find your niche. Find your niche. Don't be everything to everybody. Find your niche.
So
good. Be very focused. And work that niche and become the best in class in that niche. Deliver, make sure you take care of your customer, because if your product is good and you're taking care of your customer, the customers will come. But if your product is good and you don't care about the customer, it doesn't matter, because it's always about this relationship. It's always about, what are you doing for them? And if you're looking out for them in the best way possible, they will come forward and your business will be strong and it will have legs. To have, 30 odd years in the skincare industry is, and especially TV shopping, is unheard of. Brands
It
come
is.
and go. Life cycles are, at best
Of
3 years for a lot of these products. So when trends come and go, and you can see fashion comes and go, people come and go constantly. There's always this latest gadget or latest story or latest something, and then the brand and the whole thing is gone. So to be able to have 30 years, it's because my long-term plan has always been to be to have a greater, like, to help the greater good. It's to help out there. It's not just in the moment. It's about how can I benefit people in the long term? How can I benefit teenagers who are struggling, women who are pregnant, who don't know what to do with their skin, senior citizens who have issues, or guys with pigmentation. I mean, there's so many things out there. So for us, it's always been, how could we educate and empower to help them help themselves? No matter where they are on the planet, they'll have this information. If they choose my product, bonus. But if they only choose to listen to my information and gain knowledge from it and help themselves, I'm still happy.
Well, that's great. That's a wonderful perspective you have there. Now, I'd like to explore a little bit your philosophy and values. Your company's philosophy centers around integrity, science, education, and community. Can you delve into what each of these values means to you and how they shape Isomers' mission?
Well, we have integrity. So we have integrity in everything that we do. So we have integrity in how we conduct ourselves, how we're telling the truth, how we're authentic. We have integrity in isomer itself is a molecule with integrity. It has a certain shape, and it has a certain shape and a certain value. So that structure in itself has integrity. How we formulate, how we communicate, every pillar, every contact that we have that level of integrity, so that our standards are high and unwavering. And then we want education. Education is very important. So it's always about educating on ingredients, on what's happening, how to use a product, where it fits in, what are your alternatives, why we're doing it. So we're always trying to educate and enlighten and be very, very useful. Being useful is it just feels like it makes us relevant. We're not just here because we're here because we are useful. There is a need to have these products or to have this information. And then community. I mean, it's all about helping the community, the environment, our community, our interactions with everyone on a small scale like family, larger scale like the office, and then in our city and to the greater planet. We try very hard to have a small footprint, low emissions, be very responsible. We contribute, we give back many programs. So everything we do, it's almost like we walk the talk and live and breathe our business, because our business is more than just a business. It is for us a way of life, and it is all a mission.
One other point, if you can elaborate on science, please.
Oh, science. Everything we're doing is based on the science. So it's the isomeric chemistry, which is, again, a molecule with integrity. We utilize skincare science. Our extraction process, our delivery vehicle has to be skin identical so that the skin can utilize the ingredients properly. The science has to be sound. So it has to be peer-reviewed, international ingredients with a lot of documentation, so we know exactly how this behaves in the short term and long term. In the industry, a lot of people claim science, and there's a lot of greenwashing out there. There's a lot of pseudoscience, and one of the biggest ones is clean beauty. People talk about clean beauty all day long, and I'm like, I'm not on board with it, because it doesn't mean anything. They're just trying to use a marketing term and saying, well, it's clean beauty. And I'm like, what does that mean? What is the opposite of clean beauty? Dirty beauty? What's the standard for clean beauty? There is no standard, because it's subjective. Every company creates its own standard. So for us as scientists and base it on science, we're very authentic in saying we don't follow clean beauty. What we follow is non-toxic, safe innovation. So our products are non-toxic. They're very, very safe. They are tested. They are skin identical. When you have clean beauty and you say something is just, it's organic or it's natural, neither of those things actually tell you if it's non-toxic or safe, because people assume
Yes, that's
something
true.
natural and organic is safe and non-toxic, but that's not true. I mean, would you go eat a mushroom out in the forest? No,
No,
but it's natural, it's
correct.
organic.
That's
But
correct. It's correct.
but so we stick to the science part of it, and we are very authentic in how we explain things. So our science is not only in our approach, it's also in our formula. So they all kind of, they have a synergy all together, all of our pillars.
That's great. In your years as a skincare formulation instructor at Seneca College, how did teaching contribute to your own knowledge and expertise?
The teaching helped a lot because it was very important for me, the teaching helped a lot in that it allowed me to see how, because what we taught there, the course that I was teaching was a lot about the regulatory and about the marketing, cosmetic marketing and claims. So it allowed me to really explore ingredients and what they do and what people think they do, and how to write a label properly, how to write the claims properly, how to manage expectations, because that's very important about how people get misinformation. And you think this means that, and it doesn't. So the courses that I taught was very much about the truth in science and how to use the cosmetic claims in a way that are very truthful and not misleading. So it was very good because it allowed us, especially with what I do on TV a lot, is I don't want to misinform. So the takeaway is very important. How you communicate is very important.
Sure.
And not, you want to manage people's expectations. You want to be honest with them. You want to say, this will only do this. And that's okay that something doesn't do everything. It's designed to do something specific. But if you embellish and if you overpromise, then you're not going to actually be successful, because your customer is not going to come in. What I tend to do, and what I learned very much from Seneca, was it's always better to under promise and over deliver. And
good point.
And that actually makes people want to come back and engage with you even more, because it builds a really great rapport, and it shows that you're not trying to outdo this. You're trying to just stay at a really good, the authenticity is there, the delivery is there. You're not trying to, wow them. I always say, I'm going to wow you with my science. I don't have to wow you with my words. It's going to speak louder than me, and your product should always do that. So I'm sure it's the same in your business too. Like, if you make a door that lasts 50 or 100 years, just that fact is going to be way better than a door that lasts, 3 weekends. It doesn't make it through the winter. You don't have to say anything. The product speaks for itself.
Yeah, ironically, we have customers that purchased the first stores that my father-in-law sold in 1975, and we only offered one wood, cedar. And they're like, the door is really good. It's still in great shape, but my kids want us to change it because we're renovating, and they've got a bit of a sadness because it got a nostalgia with the product. It's withstood all these years and different seasons. And they go, can you guarantee me that you're still making the good quality doors like your father-in-law? And I go, I'll put my name on it, no problem. So exactly. I hear where you're going with that.
But I still think they should keep those old cedar doors, because those doors have secrets. It has memories in there. They've overheard so many things.
Oh, for sure. If
Put
they
them in
can
a
talk.
different room.
Some people do keep them as mementos because, like you said, that's the house that they purchased, their very first home, and they might be still in it. And it has, like you said, wonderful memories, and they don't want to part with it. They reluctantly say, I got to put it somewhere, which is nice to see.
Energy. It's got good energy, right?
Yes. And what you just said, it's really aligns with our mission of fostering collective growth among our community. And I love that personal touch and approach that you have with your customers and clients. And that's what determines the longevity with people, is that interaction is, like you're saying, over deliver, even though you promise less. And I'm finding that as well. We have thousands of repeat clients because we basically cater to the professionals in the industries, like the designers, the architects, the builders, and it's just not one project. Like when they come to us, they say, "Oh, I got a tight deadline, and I need to have it done." So yes, they want products on time, but they want a quality product. And then once you deliver that, you're going to have that repeat business, and that's so good to establish that, and important to point that out to our community that's thinking about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, you need people need to count on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they need to count on you. That's the best thing you can do in business is to be stand up, right? And go that
Yes.
extra mile for
Of
your
course.
customer. Do that little bit extra, you know. During the Katrina hurricane in the US, one of our customers, one of our customers ran out of her house. Her name was Nita Burke. She ran out of her house, loved the product so much, she ran back into her house and she grabbed her product.
Incredible.
Few months or weeks later, she calls me and tells me this story, and I'm like, who would do that? Who would run back into their home, you know, for their skincare? And she goes, I would. She goes, you don't understand how much your skincare means to us. She said, the only complaint I have is it was so many bottles. I wish you had it all in one. And it just so happened that a few months after that, they were doing an event. And the event was called All Stars, and they had chosen certain vendors to be the All Stars, and they asked us to participate.
Mm-hmm.
They had chosen us to be their All Star, and we said, "Is it okay if we choose a customer to be the All Star?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, there's this woman. She wanted us to. This happened to her, and she had this idea where she said, I wish it was all in one. Well, Dersh and I have done the math, and we can actually put all of these actives together, like a Long Island iced tea of skincare, right? We can put these we can put these actives together, but they work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we called it One. And at the time when we did it, that was, I think 2006 is when we did it. And it became huge success. It became a sub-brand of ours called the All-in-One. And we started doing it the best in class. So the best in class for eye care, best in class for face, best in class in cleanser. So we have 5 or 6 products in the all-in-one line that takes years to develop and then peer reviewed. And so, but they're all multitasking, multi-benefit.
Impressive.
So we did this for her, and we call that Beauty by Democracy. And it just so happens, you see, this is about doing something extra. We did this for her, and then other people loved it. But now we're in 2023, and the number one trend in the world is combining Matrixyl 3000, which is the collagen we used, with argireline, which is another peptide that we launched in North America. So by that one good deed and that one conversation, we created a sub-brand that now to this day, almost 20 years later, is the number one trending combination to do.
Fascinating.
So that in business is like, you listen to your customer, you have this relationship, you try to solve their problem, and it's been 20 years and we've been still solving people's problems. And the new trend, the new Gen Zers are actually loving it too, even though it was developed for, what are we, boomers?
Yes. Now we're dated, right?
Yeah, or somewhere in between.
Well, I like to call us trailblazers in business, where we're here to teach and be examples and mentors for the younger generation.
Yeah. Yeah, if they want to listen, if they're open an ear and if they're going to, listen, because a lot of times it's funny. I even with my parents, they used to say things, and I used to be like, well, why didn't you tell me that? And they go, we've been telling you that for 10 years. You weren't listening.
It comes with age.
It comes with age.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
yeah, we try to prevent them, from going into the pitfalls. But like you said, we don't listen. It's selective hearing at the time. And then when they fall into a problem, then they'll come to you and say, oh, you got to help me out with something, right? But we told you, yeah, I know, but now I really need your help. And that's when they're prone to listen and take your advice. So you gotta let them venture out and make their mistakes.
Absolutely. I think we've made most of my successes came from my mistakes, right? And that's the other thing in business. You're going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. Absolutely. And it's okay. Just pick yourself up and move on. It's not the end of the world. You will make a mistake. Enjoy that you've made the mistake. You're one step closer to the right answer. You're one step closer to, the alternative is don't do anything, never make a mistake. Well, what is that? There's not progress. There's no learning. There's no value in that. There's so much value in your mistakes.
I call mistakes part of the learning process.
Absolutely.
And as long as you don't repeat them, because they do become costly, and then that could affect the bottom line, which, we're in business to earn a living. And if you don't listen to yourself and pay attention to what's going on, that could sink you for sure.
That's so true. That's also why, for example, our packaging is pharmaceutical bottles with labels, because we didn't want to buy 50,000 bottles from Asia or the UK, and each one be different with a different cap and a different closure and silk screened. What if nobody bought that? That would be very costly, right? It was like, so in the beginning we had to make certain concessions to ensure that everything was done wisely. We tried to do the most we could with the least resources. We had to hone the formulation. So I always said it's more important what's inside the bottle than what's on the outside.
Right.
And now to this day, we still use that same packaging, because it also ended up that it was actually better to hold the chemicals in glass, pharmaceutical grade. It was better dropper system. Yes, people like buying the beautiful, pretty packaging.
Right.
But I'm not selling packaging. I think we're the packaging. I'm just going to give you the tool to make your packaging better. But this is where we put our focus. So that's why also we focused on the science and not this look. But we also started out doing it because it was just impossible. It's just costly. It didn't make fiscal sense to be putting all of that into packaging, when we felt also our goal was to put it into the science and put it into more people's hands as quickly as possible.
Exactly. But one thing in entrepreneurship that I found is I do look at what my competition is doing, just to, gather information as to how gauge the market and customer demands as well. That's part of research. But I don't like doing what they're doing. I want to have my own unique approach. And I think you're in a similar way. You have a great product, so why do I have to doll it up with a fancy packaging? In one aspect, if I find something packaged nicely, I'm kind of weary about the contents inside. Is it just something to throw me off that, it's beautiful packaging, I'm going to get it. And then you fail to read the ingredients, if they're environmentally sourced, if they have sustainability taken into account. And these are things that are important for me. And I hope it's important for our community as well to be aware of that. Buyer beware.
Absolutely.
So can you give us like a little bit of a glimpse of upcoming products that you're planning to launch in the near future?
Sure. The innovation that we're looking at now is still a lot about, so in the skincare industry up until 1998, most products were just a moisturizer, something that's going to coat your skin, protect your skin. Wasn't really interacting. Since then, when we launched peptides, which are signaling molecules, it's like a little computer program that sits on your skin. And it basically sends signals down to the lower levels, and then your skin responds. So this is called a messenger peptide. This is how you can, in skincare, actually have these changes on your skin. So it helps with pigmentation. It's going to help with collagen renewal. It's going to help boost different markers in your skin. So now I think the next movement is where we're headed, is still with the DNA, but it's now using exosome technology. So this is all about regeneration. So not only are we going to help with the stimulation and repair, we're now working actively, and we'll be launching very soon regenerative skincare. So it actually regenerates. So we're going to be able to work on scars. We're going to be able to work on imperfections, anti-aging. So truly the science has moved from a topical, you just put a little bit of, olive oil on your skin and hope for the best, to actually taking something that's made with ingredients that interact and help to program and guide the programming of your skin.
Love that. So I'm just curious. I'm new to your products and I'm really fascinated. So if I venture onto your website, how do I know what product to select for myself?
I think
Take
the
me through the
best way,
steps.
that's a very good question, because people say you have so much
Yeah.
in your inventory. And to me, they're all like my children. So I'm like, you can't really, what's your favorite child? Who's your favorite child kind of
Right.
thing. But really, truly, we have the all-in-one system is probably the best system, the one that we developed for where we put everything together, because it's multitasking, multi-benefits. It's the hub. The other ones are going to be like the Matrixyl line is about collagen, so you have lines and wrinkles. So truly, you have to think about, what is it that I am struggling with, or what is it that I want, right? So is it sensitivity? Is it aging? Is it wrinkles? Is it pigmentation? And then based on that, you can put that keyword in and the products will populate.
Oh, I like
You
that.
can also always, and we encourage people to talk to us, phone us, email us, contact us on social media, any way you want, because we actually will do a skinscription. We actually will put a routine together based on your goals, right? And people sometimes don't know what their goals are. They just said, well, I just want to change, or I just want to live. So, let's find out what it is you want to achieve, and then let's come up with a plan, and we'll guide you with the skincare. I can always tell you what the basics are going to be that everybody should have. So you always should have a good cleanser. You should always have a vitamin C serum. You should always have a retinoid. You should always have a sunscreen. That's without even thinking. That's everybody. And then from there, now, what else do you need? What else is it? Do you have loss of elasticity? Are your jawline changing because you're over 45? Were you out in the sun a lot and you have a lot of melasma or pigmentation?
Right.
And then those are the things that we pick off as individual things to resolve for you and teach you how to do that.
Do you do in-person consultations? Because you're just down the street from me.
I will absolutely do in-person consultation.
Okay.
I absolutely, I will. And I've also done them on Zoom. But we actually, what we love to do is we love to have actual people come to our laboratory in Toronto, because we're always looking for people to do clinicals, to do product testing, where we actually
Fantastic.
come up with new product. And, we give you the product. All that we ask is that you come 3 or 4 times, like once a week for a month. And we take before and after pictures, and we actually run diagnostic on your skin. So we
That's
just want to
amazing.
see how your skin changes. So if anybody out there is in Toronto and wants to come to our laboratory, get a hold of us, and we'd be happy if you, for you to try our product.
Okay, so for our listeners who want to connect and learn more about you and your skincare products, tell them where they can go.
You can go to Isomers.ca. So ISOMERS.ca on our website. We're also on social media, Isomers Skincare. We're on TikTok, where we have over 15 million viewers on TikTok. Yeah, you see, this is just information about, literally it was about, oily scalp and how to take care of oily scalp. And it just shows you how the reach for helping people around the world is like, you can do so much if you really, we care. We love doing that.
Right.
The other is you can just call us. We're in Toronto, so 416-787-2465.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes, your contact information. If they want to call,
Absolutely.
email,
Whatever.
they'll find you, just as long as
They'll
they know you're in
find us.
Toronto. That's great.
Yes.
So lastly, what message or advice would you like to leave for young women aspiring to enter the fields of science, entrepreneurship, or skincare?
I think your passion, your dedication, your unique perspective are your greatest assets. And I think that you need to be true to yourself and just follow the path. Like, work it. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Don't be distracted. Don't take things personally. I think that's very important when you're starting out. It's scary, but this is a journey that you have to do, and you have to believe in yourself. And I think when you believe in yourself, you can achieve so much more. But if you're relying on your girlfriends or your, other people to be your source of self-esteem and affirmation, I think that that's not going to get you where you want to go. So I think you need to focus on yourself and focus on your wins, and just compare yourself to you yesterday. That's it.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Manuela. Like, you've been so insightful, so much information, and a lot of good nuggets for our audience to take away from. And I thank you for your time, because you're an extreme busy individual, and very appreciative that you took time out of your schedule to be here with us today. Only Women Entrepreneurs is focused on supporting and educating women on their entrepreneurial and alternative career journeys. Learn more about us and our free resources. Visit my website, onlywomenentrepreneurs.com, for content tailored specifically for women navigating the business world. Here you can also find my personal development and business courses to help you on your journey. Whether you want to start a new business or you want to get to the next level of your career, I can help guide you every step of the way. Book your free consultation with me today. Follow us on social media, Only Women Entrepreneurs, to connect with a growing community of aspiring women who are forging new paths. We're here to provide the tools, resources, and inspiration you need to be all you can be. Thank you so much, everyone, and I look forward to our next podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.